Thank you very much, and thank you, Lord Mayor, for your hospitality in this wonderful, wonderful town. And Denmark is the country from which my daughter-in-law comes, so I feel very strongly associated. Why are we doing all this? If we go on as we are, then the accumulation of greenhouse gases sometime around the end of this century, if not before, would be of a kind, probably 750 parts per million of CO2 equivalent, where there'd be roughly a 50-50 chance quite soon of being above 5 degrees centigrade. If we went to 5 degrees centigrade, we would be experiencing temperatures which the planet has not seen for 30 million years. We humans have been around here for 200,000. No human of any kind has experienced anything like that. What would happen? Some parts would be deserts, some parts would be inundated, coastlines would change, rivers would change, hurricanes would batter some parts of the world. The reasons for being where we are, the reasons for our cities being where they are, would be completely rewritten, undermined. Hundreds of millions of people would have to move, and there'd be prolonged, severe and global conflict. These are the kind of stakes that we're playing for. We're seeing some of this now. Anna Tibaijuka was here about 5 years ago. She walked me around Kibera, which is, as many of you will know, a slum in Nairobi of around 1 million people or so, which is they're really quite young, perhaps 10 or 15 years old. This has come as a result of many people moving, and moving for climate-related reasons. These are the kinds of risks which we run. It would be madness to go there, and we have to remind ourselves of the stakes for which we're playing. We're playing for the relationship between human beings, not just that species, but the human species, their relationship with the planet. But there is a different route. We can now, with strong agreement in Copenhagen, launch the most exciting energy and industrial revolution the world has ever seen. Bigger than electricity, bigger than railways. It would be a very creative, innovative period which would last 2 or 3 decades or more. And when we get to low carbon growth, it will be more energy secure, it will be safer, quieter, cleaner and more biodiverse. This is an obvious choice which we have to make, and we have to have the courage to make it in the next 2.5 days. Behind all this, we've just got to understand, constantly remind ourselves the stakes for which we're playing here. Why cities? That's where the majority of the people are. Why cities? That's where 80% of the energy is used. Why cities? Because so much of this action is best organized in a community. Public transport is a community story in large measure. Not only, but it takes place mostly in cities. Combined heat and power, which we have here in Copenhagen, is something that you can do in a city. Reusing and recycling is much easier done within communities. Carpooling is much more easily done within communities. The infrastructure for electric cars is much more easily done in city communities. So much of this action will be city-oriented, and it will be collaborative. This isn't just about getting the physical thing done. What we're going to see is that working together and doing things together is a much more attractive way of living, as well as giving much better results. Cities is also where the leadership is. We're seeing that they're the right size and structure of communities where people can get together and decide to take action, and they do, and they can be much more radical in their ambitions because they're more cohesive in their decision making than in bigger polities. So this is a story then where cities will be at the centre. But it's not just a mitigation story, it's also an adaptation story. When Bombay was hit in 2005, when New Orleans was hit in 2005, it was the poorest people who suffered the most extreme deprivation and loss of life and loss of homes. This is an adaptation story as well as a mitigation story. It's a story of building flood defences, of making homes more secure, of securing water supplies. And that again, that adaptation story has tremendous payoffs if it takes place in a city. But finally, it's a learning story. This innovation, this creativity that I'm describing is a process which we can see. We can see the routes to go down. We can see low carbon energy. We can see how to do public transport. But we're going to learn very fast along the way. And one of the great things that this group of cities has done is to work hard on that learning process. They're sharing ideas, learning from each other, and that means that this whole process is going to be more efficient, more rapid and more creative than it would have been. So I salute you all for the work you've been doing, and let's see if through your energies and your dynamism and your insistence that let's see if the next 2.5 days leads the results that it should. We can see the agreement, we know what it looks like. It's now a matter of political will, and that's what we expect from the leadership of the world over these next 2.5 days. Thank you.